Okay, so we are back with Olesea, and where we left off was talking about emotions and emotional intelligence. So quickly, we're going to touch on some of the range of emotions that entrepreneurs go through throughout the day. So we talked about that, didn't we? Okay. Anyways, we're going to edit that out because I can't remember where we are. So life as an entrepreneur is quite a roller coaster of emotions. And because we are experiencing so many emotions throughout each day, we need to learn how to manage our emotions. So now, do you have any recommendations for how we can manage our emotions?
I think the most important thing when we try to manage them is, first of all, to recognize them. What are they? Because most of us, we see emotions in a bulk without really understanding the differences and the vibrations that they can cause to our bodies. So basically, it's important to kind of differentiate the good and bad emotions, and which are more constructive of the bad emotions. So I think, and according to my feelings, and one of the, even in many religions, one of the hardest emotions are the emotions related to depression and apathy. Actually, not being able, not having an interest, having a feeling of impotence and a feeling of disinterest in life itself. So I think that's the what I call the worst of the negative emotions, because we are not impulsed by any actions. Nobody can help us really in that situation. That's what we feel when we are in that situation, because I think most of us have been through a feeling of being depressed, which is really, really different from actually having depression fully fledged, when for more than 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks, sometimes months and years, we are not interested in life itself, which can cause really chemical issues. If you're depressed, if you're in the of being depressed, that's very different from being in depression. So that's a major difference that we want to make. I want to first of all say that as an entrepreneur, I have been in depression and I have been depressed, and I have understood that it's really, really important, that difference. The other differences is that we can have sorrow, we can go through grief. That's a different emotion than being in depression, because we can be we can have a certain life trauma, losing someone really close, being abandoned, and being abandoned by a spouse or by a parent for different reasons, like circumstances in life. Getting a divorce is also one of the major causes of grief, or losing our business, or losing
our health.
Our yes, losing our house, or something that is of
Or
major
health.
importance to our
Yes.
life can cost. Yes, and also health. Yes,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
But
Major
it's also
injury or illness is a huge issue.
major
I know myself
injury or
recovering from
illness.
pneumonia.
Exactly, because you usually entrepreneurs are what? They are focused that they are the doers and they are the drivers of their venture. So basically, when they are temporarily destabilized by one of the major reasons, and it can happen to any of us. And sometimes you will discover that that is a blessing, to get that trauma in life, because you learn so much more about yourself. And I even encourage many people to go and try to live, because one of the examples of the good examples is living with scarcity of resources, or doing something out of in a major health situation, because that's when you really, really discover yourself and discover the potential of your body and of your mindset. And especially if you have the right mentors and spiritual guides around you, it's going to help you.
Well, and I can tell you
Now
that
we can go.
We have a
I
little
want
bit of
to
delay,
continue.
audience, because Olesea is in Moldova and I'm in Canada. So we do have some issues at times with the internet connection. And while I'm trying to wait for a pause, sometimes that pause is not quite there, or she doesn't hear me when I take advantage of a pause. So I did just want to touch base quickly on the whole, sometimes trauma can be good. My family motto is actually Versit Vulnir Virtus, which means courage grows strong at the wound. So what does that mean? That means that whatever hurts us, whatever trauma we experience, that trauma, that hurt, that pain actually helps us grow stronger and allows us to deal with different things that happen throughout life. And now we've lost Olesea. She is frozen in the
No. You have me here. It's just the pause. We're waiting
Yes.
for the pause to happen. But the idea is exactly we're going in major negative feeling, but we, as a difference with others, with sorrow, sadness, grief, we are proactive. We want to change. Sometimes we want to creatively distract things. Sometimes we are disgusted, but still we are involved emotion. We are anxious, anxiety, anger is connected to those negative. When we are anxious, we don't know what we want to do. But we want to do something. We want to move things around. Things should not stay in place. But they're considered more constructive than the emotions of sorrow, the emotions of depression and apathy. So slowly we are going into the next stage of emotions, the emotions of harmony, of constructively doing, of interest, of building something, proactively constructing something, of fulfillment. So these are the next type of emotions. So the other part of emotions is the emotions linked with love, with reciprocity, with giving, with offering, with gifting. And the highest level of emotions, they go beyond love, they go with emotions linked with joy, enlightenment, with a state of being not actually reacting in a manner of being highly joyous or highly surprised by the fulfillment we get, but receiving and offering serenity and harmony with everything around us. So I think all of us, we have all of this emotion when we build our businesses and when we grow and we of value, we feel enlightened by the fact that we can learn from our tribe and give back to our tribe in a harmonious state of peace. So I think peacefulness is something that all of us as entrepreneurs want to reach. And to get there, we need to kind of grow. So, and have all these emotions. What I wanted to say is, and the one important thing is that we do not need to dismiss what we call the negative emotions. Because I like one comparison that was made about the tree of our growth and including all this type of emotions. So what we call the negative emotions, they're the roots. They connect with what we are profoundly, with our subconscious and our growth and depth in our lives. Because in a way, if we deal with those feelings, if we deal and respect our emotions and give time to grow through those emotions and to understand ourselves, why we feel impotent in a certain situation, why do we feel depressed about a certain situation. Of course, there are clinical situations where I do recommend that you get the medication, and you need you need consultancy from a therapist and someone to help you. But when you have a temporary feeling of depressed, I think it's very important to have a little quiet time and you analyze emotion, you write them down. You use different instruments such as writing, discussing with your fellow entrepreneurs a situation where you feel that you lack knowledge or lack competencies, because we know that entrepreneurship is a lot about street smarts, about knowing people, about having the right resources to solve them at the right time. So having a community that can help you consult in that, having a mentor that can support you, it's really, really important. And it doesn't matter the age, circumstances change. So you don't feel stupid because you don't know. It's just part of the territory.
And we should briefly touch on the sort of meaning of depression from the North American standpoint as well. When we talk about depression, there are definitely times where people say we're feeling depressed, we're feeling very sad, we're feeling very down. And that is very different from a full-on clinical depression. When you have that full-on clinical depression, it doesn't matter really what's going on around you. It's hard to feel joy, even in joyous occasions. And that's one of the easiest ways to sort of differentiate it. And full-on clinical depression can affect you in so many other ways as well. Besides the really having a hard time getting out of bed, it can drain your energy, it can take away your appetite, it makes you very unsure of yourself, unsure of your self-worth, your self-confidence. It makes you want to hide from the world, and it's really sort of a dark place. So even for me, I know when I'm feeling that clinical depression, that deep depression, because I know that even when I'm smiling, it's not reaching my eyes. And if you know anybody else who has went through depression and you're able to recognize it, you can actually see people and you can see that their smile is there. They seem sort of happy, but it's not quite in their eyes. So it's very easy to mask serious clinical depression as well. And just be aware that it's more than just that feeling of being down or being stressed. Clinical depression is definitely a deep, deep ache, and it's not uncommon for you to need to potentially go on medicine temporarily, change some of your lifestyle habits, see a doctor or a counselor or a therapist. And the main thing is to recognize it and get help. Get whatever help you need in whatever form works for you. So whether it's massage to help unwind some of the tensions in your body, or taking health supplements, make sure that you recognize that. And for anybody who is surrounded by someone going through depression and you recognize those signs, make sure to take the time to see how they're doing. Give them a compliment. Ask them if there's anything you can do to make things easier for them. And talk. Offer a spot to talk to people, because people need to talk. And I found that was one of the best things for me when I was feeling extremely down and no hope whatsoever, even though talking would not snap me out of it, because clinical depression is not like that. But the act of being able to share what I'm going through or how I'm feeling actually could help.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you completely. on that. And I think one of the major challenges in being an entrepreneur is that most of the entrepreneurs, at least in Western societies, they try to surround themselves with positive, constructive people. That means that sometimes, and I felt it on myself because I've been through a trauma, and I will share that completely with anyone, that my father, he had cancer, and for 1 year and a half, we were battling cancer. And of course, I was sad, and I was kind of, in a way, depressed. Although we were fighting, we were trying the best. I had many friends that kind of, oh, this is not my issue, and I don't want to kind of converse with the person. And they still kind of aside. And then when I was trying to explain to them that, look, I know it's not your territory, it's not your problem, but I would like to share a little bit of my sadness because it's going to help me.
And it will affect everybody differently.
I had people. Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to share, and some people said this is and want to tell it. And it feels even lonelier in those situations. You feel kind of powerless. And it's important to recognize, and I like, there is somebody, I don't remember who was saying, you have to have always the balance. You have to have 30 people that are above you, so you kind of learn from them and you grow from what they have. So you constructively strive to that. You have to have 30 people that are your peers and that kind of are in the same situation that you are, so you can kind of be accountable to each other and share your struggles at the same time, listen to your colleagues' struggles and help each other. And 30 people that you are, 30% of people that you kind of support them. You can choose your balance, but I feel that it's important that in times of sorrow and in times of struggle, we need to have friendships that outlast those struggles. So it's important to recognize in your fellow entrepreneurs that they will go through those times. And once you help somebody, there will always be somebody that is going to maybe feel obliged, or maybe just be happy to support you in those times, because they will feel privileged that you shared those times, and you will continue. Because if anger should not be built on, you should not kind of, you tell you 1 minute of anger, I'm so tired, he was so and so and so, and then you're done. Sorrow needs more time for sharing, because that's when your heart rests a little bit. And that's been clinically proven, and that's Daniel Goleman talks about in his famous emotional intelligence books, which I adore. And I recommend any entrepreneur that starts, first of all, to start their path by actually reading this book, because it's going to help you, first of all, understand what emotions are about, understand your own emotions, label them, recognize when they happen to you, so you get your own emotional awareness, and then you'll be able to get the emotional awareness about your peers, so understanding what they're going through.
So I thought we would talk very quickly about some of the coping mechanisms available, and I'll go over some of them now. So it doesn't matter whether it's you're feeling down, you're feeling clinically depressed. It doesn't matter which situation it is. There are coping mechanisms that can help you. Stress can really bring out a lot of issues, and while it may not need medication, while it may not be a clinical depression, it can still affect you negatively. People who suffer too much stress have ended up with everything from Bell's palsy, so your face drooping, to migraines, headaches, muscle aches, actually being sick. One person I know, her kidneys were shutting down because she was so stressed. So the stress affects all these different systems in your body and can be very negative. So what do we do to reduce some of that stress? Some of the things you can do is look at what you are great at doing.
Right.
Mhm. So you can look at things that you are great at doing. You can
Yes,
look at
and
your weak areas.
you should not handle this stress alone, first of
Yes.
all. Remember that. You should always rely on, as I was saying, talking with people, having friends to talk to. But don't remember, it's your own responsibility. But do talk with friends and do talk with your fellow colleagues because they need to know what are you going through. Because the business, even though you are the proprietor, it should include people that are committed to the brand that you're serving and are part of the struggle. So if you struggle because you're going through business issues or some kind of market pressures or through financial issues, you should let your team know about that because the team is part of the solution. So I think it's very, very important to keep that in mind. And have an accountability, or I suggest at least 5 accountability partners or 5 entrepreneurs that you share your issues with, your problems at the same level as we were talking. Tell them. Don't forget to kind of pet them emotionally and tell them thank you after they've listened to you. And not only tell them thank you, and tell them why you love them so much, kind of uh, why you respect them and you appreciate them a lot because they will be willing to listen to you more and more and to support that exchange of information and exchange of emotional support and emotional uh, petting. I don't know the other word. So I think it's very, very important we don't forget that. And rest from the issue. Sometimes it's we fixate our attention so much on the variables that surround one issue that because we are so fixated, we become blind spotted by that. So it's important to kind of forget about the problem a little bit and just rest. Just go and pamper yourself for a little bit. Do something that you enjoy and always have that book of joys around you so you kind of open it up. Oh, I forgot that I love horse riding. Do some horse riding because that is going to help you see the problem again with different eyes. So that is really, really important to take your eyes off the problem and then put them back with different glasses.
Well, and some of the other ways that you can reduce some of your stress is by delegating your tasks. We don't talk about that often enough, but some of the simplest things to reduce your stress is taking that bookkeeping, taking that accounting, and handing it over to a bookkeeper. It's taking that task you hate to do most and giving it to someone who loves it. So find people to help you through the process. And remember too that when you're delegating tasks to people who excel in those tasks, you're saving time. And even if it's costing you money because you have to pay a bookkeeper, because you have to pay a designer, you're actually saving money because the amount of time and stress it's going to take you to complete the task is going to be far less by paying someone else to do it.
And if you don't have money, do remember you can partner and you can exchange service for services.
Yes.
Or you can exchange service to services, so you can do a trilateral contract and find someone that you can do something good for them and they will pay for the services you want to get.
For sure, for sure. And that
there
is
are
a great
ways
way
to
for new
cut on the
businesses.
cost. So there are ways to cut on the costs or find ways to, Like, for example, if you are part of a community and you feel that, God, I cannot do accounting, you can get a couple of people on board and you can negotiate your services, your accounting services for less than you would have paid if you went solo to get those accounting services from a certain company. So do remember there are ways to model around uh, getting services that we dislike a lot at lesser price once we go in a group of people as new entrepreneurs. A community of entrepreneurs can get those services for a less price, a lower price than would get one entrepreneur, one startup from the same business. So I
For
think
sure.
it's important to keep that in mind.
Well, and I think we're going to now touch on our very last topic.
Just as long.
This is like the
Yes.
Super Bowl delay, 5-second delay, because who knows what crazy weird things we'll do on video. So we're going to quickly talk on our last topic, and that is about laughter. Oh,
Yes.
delayed reaction here. So one of the best things to actually help your mental health, help your mental stability, and make your workday better is to laugh, have some fun, have some play. Oh, we've got a kid trying to sneak in. Okay. This is the daily kid appearance.
Hi, Logan.
So, we like
daily
to...
hug. So don't forget, this is about laughter, but don't forget that for your own mental health, you can install a hugging tradition, because hugs help our mental sanity and mental health as well.
Yes, and if you are in a country where sometimes they frown more on physical contact, I'm not sure how well it would go over here. For some of the companies who are really careful about their sexual harassment policies, which is horrible because hugs should not be something you're worried about giving. There's also high fives. High fives, there's fist bumps, there's snaps. So, but do something. Me, if you see me, give me a hug, because I love hugs and high fives and snaps.
I think it's important. You can draw the rules for hugs. You can show them what is the proper hug, what is not proper, so people understand the differences, how we do touch, so people don't feel uncomfortable. And always people have to choose what is most appropriate. I do recommend hugs. I hugged my teenagers against their will for a long time, so they learned that this is really important. Physical touch is part of our mental sanity. I do have some more recommendations. I do think that writing is very important. So I do allow yourself to do some writing, just to write everything that disturbed you throughout the day. And it helps me. Once I write, I kind of see what went wrong, and I can analytically go through the day and see what went wrong. And then I write also about my joys, what I've learned, what brought me satisfaction throughout this day. So I usually end my day with a thank you and meditate for the new day. I'm not saying, just thinking about, I'm going to think every night, and I'm doing that. I started doing that recently. I was telling you about the last 2 years and the trauma I've been through. And I started doing the joy list. What am I going to do tomorrow that will bring me joy? What are the small details, the small attention that is going to bring joy to me, my family, and my peers? Because it's very important to smile and to bring joy to other people as well. So I'm trying to complete those 3 items and think of those ahead of every day. So tonight I'll think about tomorrow, and tomorrow the day after tomorrow. And every week I try to plan something major for myself
Mm-hmm.
that is going to kind of build my team, build my family, and help me to be sane and to be healthy emotionally for the next month. And it's okay to rest. Sometimes it's okay to not talk to people, to not talk to anyone. Don't think that if you don't want to talk and to go to meditate and to kind of think what is going to be next, it's wrong, you are depressed. Just if your soul feels that you need to rest a
Mm-hmm.
little bit from people, it's okay. We need that from, even though we
Mm-hmm.
are social animals, we need to go through that because that helps us project our goals for the next season, for the
Mm-hmm.
next period.
Well,
So
and the last thing I would mention is remind yourself of all the awesome things you have done. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be as awesome as you're wearing matching socks, which is pretty minor, but it's an awesome thing. Remind yourself of those awesome talents you have. Maybe you can throw a ball 500 feet, I don't know. But think about your awesome talents, your weird talents. What things are special? Maybe you were in the paper or wrote an article, or maybe at work you came up with for the solution for the broken toilet. So think about those things that you did that were awesome. Think about the things that make you special, because I don't care who you are, there are things that you have done in your life that make you very special. So remember that, and remember the good things of each day. You just have to get through the day, and the next day comes. So think about what awesome thing you have done and give yourself those snaps, and make sure that you give yourself a pat on the back, the high five in the mirror, and just tell yourself, remind yourself how awesome you are, and that
I think it's also, yeah, I will not, I will just also include some of the reminders. Uh, Put people around you that will remind you as well how awesome you are. But also do not forget to take care of the basics. One of the most important things, I think, it's breathing. We need air.
Mhm,
So do have time to give yourself a 10-20 minute breathing moment per day. Is it part of that meditation of yours? It's okay. You can do it part or not. You need to learn to breathe profoundly in the morning so you kind of set your day and set your health. I
mhm,
do think that please do not forget to sleep well and try to find the solutions. If you feel that you have some kind of sleep apnea or you have issues
mhm,
with your sleep, go see a neurologist, go see a psychiatrist to help you solve the issue. Because if you're not sleeping well, you are not going to be in a good health, in a good mental health, in any type of
mhm,
good health. My third would be don't forget, food is really important. You're chemically balanced if you have the right food, the right water.
mhm,
Water is part of what I call nutrition. So
mhm,
you do set yourself that you need to. I do recommend. I'm from my own observations. I do recommend women to have more warm teas, warm waters, because we need to kind of keep our
mhm,
body all the time. So do not forget that your colon, your gut is really important. Get that gut instinct working
mhm,
for you. And also don't forget to exercise at least 8,000 steps
mhm,
per day. And my recommendation for anyone that is going beyond 30 years of age, you don't forget to do the stretching, Pilates, or yoga. So you kind of keep your muscles and joints in place so you don't have any type of accidents. Don't forget about your strength training, because if you don't get at least 2 or 3 hours of strength training per week, your muscles are going to grow weak with time. And especially since I'm a 40-year-old, I'm saying that because it's important for the oxygen to go into your muscles and to feed your
Mhm.
organs. And if you have the muscles in the right place, it's going to help your health. And keep your attitude up and have people that can support that attitude. And
Mhm.
I do recommend having at least 4 or 5 friends that will hug you and will tell you how great you are
For sure.
every week, and every day remember about them, and just maybe send a wink or send something or just send a like or something. We
Mhm.
need that. It's important. It's not about being narcissistic. It's about having people that care about us and having people to care about and having that support. And with that, I wanted to tell you, Rebecca, that I really appreciate your attitude in life, and working with you has been a blessing because you're a very generous person, generous with your time, and also you have so many skills, and you're open-minded, you're innovative, you're an assertive listener, and it's really, really important for the young generation to be heard,
Thank
because
you.
I don't know about your schools, but in our schools, they are mostly asked to work for certain grades, which is
Mhm.
not exactly um, the meritocratic approach that I see needed for the new generation.
Mhm. For sure. Thank you so
So thank
much.
you so much, and
You're gonna make me cry.
much for
Yes.
for being a great friend and a good accountable partner to us. Good in terms we really have not been very systematic about that, but I think 2019 is going to bring a little bit of more consecutive approach, so we kind of build on our accountability partnership.
Yes, we do have that on our calendar every other week.
So yes, we do communicate more often, but I think we should be
Yes.
more constructive in terms
Yes,
of actually sharing that. So,
for
and
sure. Well, and
so
thank you very much for joining us today, Olesea. And if anybody is looking for accountability, we do have a new program at EntreLaunch called the I Will Stay Accountable program. So look it up. It's a 15-minute weekly call, and it's designed to help you go through your goals and keep it, keep yourself attainable, or not attainable, accountable for your goals. It's been a
accountable.
long day.
Yeah, I do have a couple of people that I have
Mhm.
accountability partnership, and it's very good for my life goals, my
Mhm.
emotional goals, and relationship. It's different people I have for
Yes.
relationship goals. For business goals, I have, Viorica, who is our
Yes.
financial director, and also she owns the company as well. So we have, I have different people for different
Mhm.
goals in my life, and they are quite helpful. So
Well, and it really helps when you say your goals out loud and tell someone else about them, then you're more likely to get it done because you have to report back to that person and you have to tell them why you didn't get it done. So if I don't complete what I said I'm going to do today, I'm going to have to tell that person why I didn't do it. And chances are I do not have a good excuse for not having completed a task. So, do you really want to be that person who just blows things off? Or do you want to be that person that gets your tasks done, can be reliable, and meets your goals? Now, that's not saying every single goal is going to be met because shit happens. Things come up, life happens, but you are going to be
maybe.
able to accomplish a lot more with somebody else holding you accountable for it than you will on your own, because it's very easy to put our goals aside, brush them under the rug, put them in a box, and do anything else.
And when you explain why, you might come to the understanding that you don't need that goal anymore. It's just,
Exactly.
okay, I'm sorry, but I thought, first of all, I overestimated the value of that goal in my life. And
Hmm.
then discover that it's not important. If you see that you cannot force yourself do one thing throughout several weeks, then it's not
Mhm.
important.
Well, and the other thing with the goals is that sometimes the biggest part of the stress, the biggest part of the reason you're avoiding it is because you are a little scared of it. And it could be something that takes 5 minutes. It's like picking up the phone to call your government agency to ask them a tax question. It's a silly little question. It's a yes or no answer. And you just do not want to pick up that phone and call. So having that on your list of tasks, on your goal list for the week, and keeping yourself accountable for it will help it get it done and off your plate. So what would you rather do? Would you rather set a goal that takes maybe 5 minutes to complete and ignore it for a year? Or do you want to set that goal, complete it that day or that week, and then no longer stress over it? I want to get things out of the way. Which reminds me, I have a lot of calls to make today, so I should probably get to those. So thank you
Okay.
again for joining us, Olesea of Gen Moldova. And if you don't know where Moldova is, it's located between Romania and Ukraine. Beautiful country over in Europe. So please go visit there. They have fantastic wine.
Not only you can have fantastic you can come for festivals and everything that you desire. And if you like
Exactly.
ecological food, you can also come to Moldova. Am I a good
Yes.
for the country? Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we are going to end that here. And our apologies for the poor audio at times. Unfortunately, when you're working with people in different countries, internet can be an issue. At least it's not
So we are waiting for you.
Aw, thank you.
We have the new pins, so.
Ah.